Once you circle the three parts that are given, you have to figure out what trig function goes with those parts. All right. So in this case, we have a what? We have an opposite and we have an adjacent. Thank you very much. We have an opposite and we have an adjacent. So then you say, what trig function goes with that? Tangent. So everybody's going to write down now the tangent function. All right. Now, after we write tangent, or every trig function requires an angle. So now we write down tangent of t is equal to, what's the opposite?
14 opposite.
And what's the adjacent?
34.
34. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to look at this and we want to say, well, I need to figure out what the measure of angle T is. All right. Now, the first important lesson that you will learn is that's not the tangent times T. All right. So everybody needs to tell me that's not the tangent times T. That's not what that's saying. That's saying that that angle has a ratio of 14 radical 3 to 34. All right. Now, the key to being successful here is this. Does everybody agree? I need to figure out what T is.
Yep.
So I need to eliminate the tangent. All right. Now on your calculator, I've told you over and over how the buttons are placed. All right. They're placed with inverses. All right. So if I want to eliminate a tangent, I have to do the inverse tangent. Now, where do you suppose you would find the inverse tangent? Second tangent. So look right here up on the board now. You're going to write, now you don't have to write this, but I'm just showing you the math. Tangent, -1. I do the inverse tangent of both sides. Now, why do you do the inverse tangent of both sides? Because the inverse tangent and the tangent do what to each other? Cancel out. So now we have T is equal to the inverse tangent of 14 radical 3 over 34. All right. Now, in pre-calculus in a couple years, you will learn about radians and degrees. Right now, we're talking about the degrees of a triangle. So everybody's got to hit the mode button on their calculator and make sure they're in degrees. All right, hit mode. And does everybody see there's degrees and radians? Make sure you're in degrees. If you're not in degrees, you'll get them all wrong. All right. So click on degrees. Once you click on degrees, hit second quit. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in a minute, when everybody does this, they will get a right answer. If you get the right answer as everyone else, then you're in the right mode. All right. If not, all right, you'll get the wrong answer and we'll have to switch your calculator over to degrees. All right, degrees and radians. Right now, we're talking about the degrees of a circle, so we're in degrees. So everybody type that in and tell me what the approximate angle measure is.
35.
Yeah, and generally round to 3 decimal places, so we'll do 35 point what? 496, and then we put the degree symbol. All right. 35.496 degrees. Is everybody happy with that explanation? All right, super, super easy. All right. No, you're not supposed to put the -1. It's already, you do second tangent. Look right above tangent. You'll see the inverse tangent. Okay. So tangent -1.
35.49.
Mode. It's spelled MODE. Well, you have to look carefully. Mode. Are you in radians or degrees? Okay, so now click off, second quit, and then do inverse tangent. Okay, so let's have some fun with question number 5. All right, we're still looking for angle T. All right, so you circle the two sides that are given. All right. So what do we have? 7 is the what? And 18 is the, there you go. So we write what trig function? Sine of what angle? Equals 7 over 18. Now, in my opinion, you should write the trig function because you need the practice. All right. Then underneath it, bless you. Then underneath it, you want to write the solution. meaning you want to write t is equal to the inverse sine of 7/18. All right. Now we don't say sine -1. All right. That's the symbol for inverse. All right. That's the symbol for inverse. All right. So then you type that in on your calculator. You say t is approximately what? 22.885. Second sine. Okay. Now let's have some more fun. Let's do 6. All right. So we circle the 3 things. All right. And in this case, we have what? 34. I would get in the habit of just for now writing, we know 34 is the adjacent and 87 is the what? Hypotenuse. It really is helpful if you learn to write it out first, because if you make a mistake, you can see, well, my mistake was because I didn't put the right name to the corresponding side or angle. All right, so in this case, we're going to use what? Trig function. Cosine. And then we write the angle equals, what does it equal? 34 over 87. So then we have t is equal to inverse cosine of 34 over 87. And you guys told me that was approximately what? Okay. All right. Now, you can put a little check mark on 7, 8, 9. Those aren't going to be a big deal now. Okay. Now, again, please, everybody look at 10. This used to be so annoying when this was on my test. They would give me fractions that could reduce. So instead of writing 16, 30, and 34, I'd look at that and say they all can be reduced by what? 2, right? So then this is going to be a what? 8, a 15, and a what? 17. All right, so reduce them first. It'll just save you some time. Over here, I can reduce by what? 2 again. So R would be what? 5, S would be 12, and T would be what? 13. All right. And they want you to write sine, cosine, tangent of all 3. All right. So we would say sine of R. Let's just practice this just to make sure we're good. So sine of R. All right. Now, the other thing I want to remind you guys is the sine of R, the opposite is what? Is R. Is everybody with me on that? All right. The angle, the side that corresponds to the angle is that. But whatever, you can just put those numbers in there, right? And say that we have 8 and then 15 and 17. All right. So sine of R is equal to what? Yes, everybody has to know this. 8 over 17. Cosine of R. 15 over 17. And then the tangent of R. Tangent is what? Yeah, 8 over 15. Very, very simple. Now do me a quick favor. So now take out your calculator and do inverse sine of 8/17, inverse cosine of 15/17, and inverse tangent of 8/15. And then tell me what you notice. Yeah, inverse, because we're solving for R. Even though they're not asking me to, I'm just trying to show you. They're all equal because they're all solving for what? R. All right, so I'm trying to show you, does it matter what trig function you use? It doesn't matter. If you set up the right function, you will get the right answer. All right, you can set it up differently and get the same answer. All right, is everybody with me on that? Anybody have any questions? All right, now let's just do sine of S, cosine S, and tangent of S. So what's sine of S, please? 15/17 cosine of S. And then tangent of S. Yeah, 15/8. Right? Okay, I don't really care about this right here, using the special right triangles. We don't really even do that in pre-calc. So I don't really care about you knowing that. All right. What I'd like for you to do is just practice typing in the sine of 30. All right. And eventually you'll just know that the sine of 30 is 1/2. All right. Eventually you know tangent of 45 is just 1. Eventually you'll know cosine of 60 is just 1/2. All right. And just type those. And then the sine of 60 you'll learn is it's 0.867 or something like that.
It's 0.866.
Well, is it 866 or 867?
86.
All right, thank you. Got it all.
his head.
Mhm.
How do you get on the calculator?
Type in sine 60. And you'll see it's 0.866, right? And then eventually you'll learn that tangent of 30 is like 1.713, I think. What is it?
0.573.
1 point what?
0.577.
Ooh, hold on a second, tangent of 30. Oh, I did make a mistake. You're right, you're right. No, I know that. And you'll learn in pre-calculus, the square root of 3/2, comma 1/2. Right, you'll know that's the 30 degree. All right, so it's really not difficult. We do square root of 3 so much that square root of 3 divided by 2 is 0.865 now. Right? And then that's how I'm just remembering those numbers. All right, and cosine of 45 is 0.707, right?
Answer change, should I take off of parentheses?
No, if you don't close the parentheses, if you're just doing that, no, it won't. Okay,
But I didn't. At first, I didn't put the end.
put tangent 30 and then don't close the parentheses, hit enter. And then do,
Oh, no.
you see what I mean? I promise you, if you don't close the parentheses, it'll automatically close it for you. All right, so now let me show you here now. All right, now this is not any more difficult. All right, listen though, this is different though. All right, now we have this, and we have this. There's 3 parts that they give you. So now your job is to say what trig function is involved with those 3 parts of the triangle. Well, X is considered the what? And 7 is considered the what? So what trig function is opposite and adjacent?
I don't know, X is the opposite.
Well, what angle am I looking at? 36. X is opposite 36, true or not? All right, so what trig function is opposite and adjacent? So notice I said tangent. After you write the trig function, you write the angle. Do we know the angle this time?
Yes.
The difference on the other one was we didn't know the angle, so we put the letter. This time we know tangent of 36 is equal to x/7. Does everybody agree with that? And so now I just say to myself, that's an easy problem. Just multiply both sides by 7. And on your calculator, just write in 7 tangent 36. And so x equals 7 tangent 36. Tell me.
5.0857.
5. Come on. Just be normal for a class period, please. All right. I need 3 decimal places. 5.086. All right. And that's the x, right? So if you know the trig formula, solving the triangle is a breeze. You just have to know the relationships. All right. Nothing to it. All right. I think I'm good. I think I know how to do all that. All right. That's the same principle here. All right, again, look at 24. I should divide everything through by what? 3, rounding here, same principle. All right, use the calculator to find the measure of angle B. And then we just throw in some word problems. Now, generally, when you're first starting out, do I really even need to read the word problem? No, because it gives you a triangle and you just have to figure out what's missing and find the missing side, the missing angle. All right, so let me tell you about number 32. All right, so it's Rhonda used a map of a region of land. All right, so to determine the elevation, right? From the vertical rock formation, he measured the distance from the base of the formation to his position and the right angle between the ground and the line of sight to the top of the formation. All right, what was the height? So we're just after all that, we just want to put an X here. That's it. We just had to figure out, do we want the hypotenuse to be X or do we want the height to be X? Does everybody understand what I'm saying, right? Don't be confused by all the words. You're just solving the missing piece. So what trig function are we using in 32? Tangent. So everybody writes down tangent of 36 equals what? X over 43. So that just means I multiply both sides by what? 43. So everybody tell me what 43 tangent 36 is. 31.24 what? And then that would be considered meters. All right. Now 33. So I know this angle. I know this. They give me a question mark here. All right.
You know the 90?
Yep. So what trig function are we? Sine of what? 49 equals. Okay, so now this is the last one I have to show you because it's the last different question. Now, why is this a little bit different? Because this time I don't just multiply, I have to do what? Multiply by X, right? Come on, everybody watching me, right? Multiply by X, and then I just divide by what? Sine of 49. So X is equal to 200 divided by the sine of 49. And if you don't like that explanation, you can make it a proportion, cross multiply and divide, but everybody in here should be fine with that. So now tell me what the sine or 200 divided by the sine of 49 is. I didn't hear you again. Say it. Okay, thank you. All right, and you can argue over whether it's 3 or 2. I am not. 265.003 feet. So those are all the different possible ways that you can use trig to solve missing sides of a triangle. Is everybody with me on that? Now, part of the reason why I have it in a repetitive nature is because it's new to you. All right, you just it's repetitive for a reason. All right, this is really, really important. All right, understanding when somebody asks you what the sine means, you say it's the ratio of the opposite side to the hypotenuse. All right, and that's how simple this can be. All right, what?
If there's like a bigger number and we get it off, we like miss it by one.
I don't care about rounding. I don't care about rounding if that's what you're asking me.
No. I got 264.900.
Well, there is a difference, right? What number was that?
33.
264. I don't see how you must have typed in
0.77. No, 0.755.
because you rounded sine of 49. Don't round, just type it in your calculator. 200 divided by the sine of 49. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter to me. Everybody should get the same answer. You shouldn't round until the very end. Does that make sense now?
It's different.
Yeah, because, and I'll tell you why. When you use trig, the bigger the triangle, the bigger the error. You understand what I mean? Just tell me what 200 divided by sine of 49 is on your calculator, please.
65.25.
Then this can't be right. Is 265.003 correct or not?
Yeah, that's great.
You cannot, we cannot, people cannot type in 200 divided by sine 49 and get different answers. It's just not possible. Right? You can't do the sine of 49, round that answer, and then say 200 divided by your rounded answer. It's just not. Yeah, no. You with me now, right? You gotta set it up properly. Set up the ratio. All right, then cross multiply, divide, whatever it takes. All right, guys, please, again, I don't think it's hard, right? And look, as soon as you get good enough and you can just write down the ratio and solve it, I am totally fine with that. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Right? But you have to judge whether or not you're good enough to do that. All right, if you're good with solving proportions, solving one-step equations, then just solve it out. I don't really care. The key is write down the equation first. Write the equation first. Use your calculator to solve it out. If it takes 2 steps or 3 steps or no steps, I'm okay with that. But I would like for you to write out what trig function you use. All right, anybody have any questions? All right, flip through. All right. Get as much as you can done. I'd like for you to be able to go home in peace and have no homework.